hello to the people on the talk, but I really would like to also say hi to everybody else and actually congratulate you for taking your time away from whatever you were doing to sit here with us and enjoy this series. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Muna Abdurrahim Zantel, and I am the owner of Mind Your Power. Now, this series we have started that because it is really all about regaining your power. It's about, you know, things are happening outside, there is a virus, there is a lockdown, or maybe now not anymore, things are happening. But the point here is that whatever is happening outside, we can change the way we feel inside of us. We can change how we react to things happening that we cannot change. Now, today on the series, I have someone who's going to do it a little bit differently than usual. So we had a lot of people talk about, you know, tips and techniques. We had a lot of therapists, yoga practitioners, meditation practitioners. We had a lot of people who gave you a lot of tips of their professional lives. Today with me, I have Georgina Kelly. Now, Georgina comes from the business world, and she's been over 25 years in branding and business development, etc. And 3 years ago, she added to her vast expertise the area of training because she loves doing it. And so she will today not really tell you what to do or how to do it, but today she's going to share her story. Because, you know, coming from a training field, like I also am in, I know that every time we do a training or every time we communicate with someone, we are learning, right? So Georgina has that skill to learn even from the most difficult times. And that's what she's going to share with you today. What are her feelings? What are her experiences? What emotions did she have? And what activities did she start? So without further ado, Georgina, I am so happy that you are with us today and that you are just sharing very casually today your story.
Well, Mona, thank you so much. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And thank you so much for inviting me. Be gentle with me because I haven't done one of these before, so I am a bit nervous.
Georgina, you have done so many things for the first time now during that lockdown, so I'm sure that this is just, you know, an easy one for you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. That was really lovely. So when you asked me if I would like to sort of come on board here and do a talk with you, I gave it a couple of days because I really had to think very seriously, because I wanted to be 100% honest. Whatever I spoke about, I wanted to be 100% honest because I wanted to be authentic, and that's the kind of person I am, and I wanted to see if I could deliver that, because deep down I'm a fairly private person. A lot of people know me as being very friendly and all the rest of it, and I'm known within certain social media circles, like whatever, you know, Rack Business Group and a couple of other things. But deep down, I am quite a private person, so I don't often share a lot in that arena, except with very close friends. So that's what I had to think about first. And the reason I said yes to talking today was that because this experience is so different from anything that I and many of us have ever experienced in our entire lives. And I hope to God, one, that we do not have to experience again. And being on lockdown, I call it being cooped up, but being on lockdown, I've learned a lot of lessons. And I've learned a lot of lessons about me as a person, not me, the career woman, the business woman or whatever, but me as a person. And I thought, well, I will share some of those things with you. So the first thing I'm going to share is how I felt when it first happened, because I did have a wobbly, I'll be honest with you. And there is a saying that we can frighten ourselves to death. And I don't know where that saying came from. Maybe it came from the time of the plague. But I nearly did it to myself. You know, we can paralyze ourselves with fear. And that shocked me because I've never had that before, ever. In all my decades on this planet, I have never experienced that emotion so strongly ever before. And I think where it came from was that with over 30 years in business, I have actually seen about 3 or 4 recessions in my lifetime. I've experienced the property recession that was caused by overheating property sector in London in the early 1990s. I experienced the dot-com bubble, which also happened towards the late 90s. I experienced, obviously we had 9/11, which wasn't a recession, but that was when, again, the globe took an intake of breath when that happened. And that did affect, obviously, business and economy. Then, obviously, 2007-8, when we had the global recession, I remember that. And then we've also had some difficulties with the economy. I would say certainly from the late 2016 right up to sort of 2017, when again the economy was quite tough. And having experienced all these recessions, I know the consequences of them. And what paralyzed me with fear, to be honest with you, was that the first thing I thought of was not of my health and not of anybody else's health. This is just before lockdown, just to take us back a little bit. We saw the pictures coming out of China and Wuhan. We saw that they were isolating 50 million people at a time. And I remember watching that on television thinking, my God, what on earth is going on? That you have to isolate millions of people, entire provinces. And then it wasn't until I saw what has happened in Italy that I realized, because obviously I'm from Ireland, I understand the European culture, it's something I'm more familiar with. And when I saw what was happening in Italy, then it drove it home. And then I thought to myself, we are in trouble. We are really in deep doo-doo, and there is a wall of trouble coming our way. And I don't know how the heck we're going to face it, because never experienced this before. And a lot of people who I knew who were in business were feeling the same way. We didn't voice it to each other. The funny thing is that when people said, oh, how are you doing? Oh, fine, I'm great. No problem. You know, because we put this facade that everything is fine. And you keep telling yourself, if you keep saying everything's okay, it's going to be okay. Well, it's not. And often it is not. And so initially, as I said, my thought was not of health, not of people dying, not what was going to happen in the UAE. I was thinking of business, I was thinking of the economy, I was thinking of projects that were going to stop, I was thinking, are we going to get paid for projects that we've already completed? Are we going to ever have any new business sort of coming from anyone ever again? And then when they announced then the lockdown, then it was very, very serious. I also have to say that when I sort of got this paranoid feeling, I also was not well. Now, I did not have the virus. I must stress I did not have the virus. But I came down with something, and I lost my voice. So I lost my voice about a week before lockdown. I lost my voice for a month. Literally lost my voice. And I don't know if that was sort of partly because of I picked up something from somewhere else. My husband never got it. I don't know anybody else who had this, but I was very tired. I had lethargy. I didn't have headaches, and I certainly didn't have some of the other symptoms that we've been told are with COVID-19. But I was very tired. It was very sort of debilitating. And as I said, I lost my voice. I couldn't even talk to anybody. I literally couldn't even pick up the telephone and talk to anybody. Because I had no voice to talk with, which is extremely interesting because I'm known to be a talker. So it shut me up. So here was the universe giving me another lesson. So as I said, it took me, I would say, about a couple of weeks, I would say a good 2 weeks, to get over this hurdle of this fear I initially felt. And it was very real. My husband didn't feel the same as me at all, and he couldn't understand why I felt the way I felt. And he says, "Oh, it'll be fine. Don't worry. It's going to be okay." And I said, "No, David. This is something very, very different." Anyway, what I decided to do was just to let it be. I decided I can't do anything about this situation. I can do something about my fear. I can do something about the situation, I can't think about how I feel. That was another lesson I learned. And I thought, give into it, go with it, allow it to happen, and it will pass. And this too shall pass. And that's what I did, was that I just said, okay, what is it you're trying to teach me? There's something, universe is trying to teach me, trying to show me. Listen to it and find out what it is. And that's when I went on YouTube, I went to a couple of books that I have, and I started reading them. And I thought, is there something here that I can read, get knowledge from, whatever it is? I never thought of ringing anybody, to be honest with you, because I couldn't talk. So there's no point in having a conversation. So I thought, I've got to find a way through this. And as I said, I got out a couple of books, and I started listening to some people sort of online and sort of listening to what they were saying. And eventually I did sort of come through it. It took me a couple of weeks. It took me about 4 weeks to get better, and about 4 weeks to get my voice back, and I needed antibiotics and all the rest of it. So maybe that was just, as I said, the universe slowing me completely down. Because as I said, anybody who really and truly knows me, they know that I don't admit to illness. You know, I'm very, very seldom ill. They know that I usually get through things on my own. I'm very, very bad at asking for help. There are times when I desperately need help, and I do not ask for it. And I've learned a lesson since this lockdown in asking for help. And it's not about being proud. It's got nothing to do with that at all. It's because I'm so used to helping others, and I'm just so used to finding the answers myself, that I forget that there's other people who know a lot more than me and can get me through this a lot quicker if I just put my hand up and say, help me out here. So that was lesson number 2. Then once I got through that period, I wasn't calm. Let's face it, it was chaos. I could see the world as being chaos. But what I decided to do was, instead of calling it chaos, I called my chaos, not the world chaos, but the chaos that I felt. I gave it another handle and a different name, and I wrote it down here. And I called it Mandatory Life Review. What's going on in my lockdown is a chance for me to actually have a mandatory life review. And it's a way of looking at my life. It's giving me a chance to see how I'm living it. It's giving me a chance to see the people who are in it. It's giving me a chance to look at my health. It's giving me a chance to look at my fitness. It's giving me a chance to look at my career, and maybe there's different ways I can do things, or allowing other people into my world, and sort of we'll hook up and maybe do stuff together. It was about raising, thinking about things in a different way. And as I said, by just giving it a different handle, I didn't see it as complete chaos. I saw it as something that I could help to change over time. It wasn't going to happen overnight. Now, this may sound like I read a book and 24 hours later I had the answer. Heck no, absolutely not. It didn't work like that at all. If we could take a magic pill, that'd be great. But no. Had to work through it. And I am still working through it. And I bet you in 6-8 months' time, I will still be at it. Just a little story here. I started working on my own personal development about 10-12 years ago. And I've been working on that for some time. It was after there was sort of a very stressful time and a death and all kinds of things. And I realized that I needed to change certain things. And it's taken me until now to be where I am. And it's not because I'm dense. it's just because things take time. And another thing I realized during lockdown is that you do things in your own time, and you do it in your own way because it's right for me. What works for other people might not necessarily work for me. And so that's what I've been doing. One of the other things that I noticed, and another lesson that I learned, was that out of chaos, and I sort of liken it to, this is like breaking a glass, and a glass falls on the floor and it breaks into smithereens, and as much as you try, you will never ever get that glass back together again. If it's a beautiful bowl, it will never happen. You might get it back bits and pieces. You can probably stick a piece here and stick a piece there, but there'll always be gaps in it. And that's the way I believe that my life, I'm not talking about the globe, the world, or whatever. I'm talking about my life, I know, will never be the same again. However, that doesn't mean a bad thing, because what it's allowing me is to find a creative place. Because one of the things I'm very bad at, and I see Beryl is here, and I know Beryl very well. And Beryl asked me a question many, many years ago, and I couldn't answer it. The question was, what do you do for fun, for joy? I said, I don't have time for joy. What are you on about? She says, well, what do you do for fun? I said, I don't have any fun. Because working, career, long hours, all the rest of it. And what has Georgina done? She's done the same bloody thing. And there isn't enough fun in my life, joy. And I'm not talking about, expensive hobbies. And I'm not, I don't want to belong to the yacht club or whatever. But I'm talking about simple things, simple things. And I don't make enough time for them. And I have no creative outlet at all. And I only realized that during lockdown, because I thought back to that question that Beryl asked me years ago, and I thought to myself, am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Because I haven't got anything I can go to that's like a creative outlet, and there's no joy. Am I a desperate soul? Of course I'm not. Am I a depressed person? Naturally, no, of course I'm not. I'm always usually fairly upbeat and, half glass full kind of person. But I've decided I'm going to make a list of something I'd like to do that's a creative outlet. And I'm still working on a list, and I'm still not quite sure what that's going to be. Some people can sort of ream off half a dozen things, but because I really don't have very much in that line at all, I struggle to think of one. But having said that, there is a book I'd like to write, and it's going to be about cats. Yes, so the characters are all going to be cats. I'm not really a cat lady. I have had cats, and I love all animals, but I did have one particular cat at one stage, and she was such a character, and I thought she could play the lead. So she's given me the idea of what this book, now this book could be for children, it might be for adults. I have a feeling it's going to be sort of in between the two, Is there going to be more than one? Probably not. They say we all have one book in us. Well, I'm going to see if I can get that one book out of me. Again, that's going to take a little while sort of to do. But that's something that I learned was I questioned joy, creative outlet, having a creative outlet of something. My husband is a designer, so he can design, paint, draw, whatever. And but I had absolutely nothing. I loved reading, but that's also very, very solitary. And I enjoy reading books. I don't get me wrong. I enjoy going for a walk and all the rest of it. But I have a feeling though that doing this book is a start, and then I'll have a think on what else I can do after that. I'm no singer. I'm no dancer. I have to work on my fitness before I can even start, dancing around the maypole. But another good thing that came out of this was a friend of mine rang me from Abu Dhabi, and Amina and I were busy having a chat, And she's a fitness instructor, and she wants to take her fledgling business online. And she says, Georgina, would you be my guinea pig? I said, what for? You calling me fat? She said, no, but I said, I'm only joking. So I said, what is it you want to know? She says, well, I want to take my business online. And she says, I need to work with somebody over a period of time. She said, I will do the exercises for you that I know you can do. And she says, I want to be able you to video your bit and how you're doing and your progress over time. And she says, would you be up for it? I says, yeah, why not? Why not? I'm not going to do this on my own, you know. And this lady has lost something like 60 kilos on her own before she became a personal trainer. So, and that took her a couple of years, you know. So she knows what she's doing. And I thought, well, I need help with this because, you know, I don't have 60 kilos to do this, thank God. But I do have a fair few. I'm not going to say here to the world what they are, but, you know, it's enough. And it's going to take the best part of a year. So getting help with that is absolutely brilliant. So that's another lesson I learned, was that sometimes when you're in a funk and you're feeling down, and you allow those feelings to be and to just happen and roll with it. There's no magic pill. You're not going to find the answer in a book. You just have to ask yourself, okay, what is it universe or somebody is trying to tell me? And just allow peace and calmness over you. And eventually it'll come to you. And also other people will come with help without you even asking. Who knew? You know, I needed a personal trainer. Of course I do, but would I admit that? Absolutely not. You know, but somebody else is out there. And so that's another lesson that I learned. Now, I learned an awful lot of lessons. I've made a lot of notes here. So stop me if I get too carried away. One of the things I will share is the books. I've got 3 books that I go to when I need some help. One of them goes back to 1989. And do you know I owned this book for 20 years before I ever opened it? I'm ashamed to say. You can see me in personal development. I'll be 100 and I'll still be doing it. This book is called Mind Magic by Betty Shine. Now, Betty Shine died some years back. But when I started reading this about 15, 16 years ago, she was talking about mindfulness, and she was talking about quietening the mind. And she was actually a healer. When she was alive, she was a healer and a medium. And a lot of people initially would go to her for healing. And she started off very, very small. She charged a tiny amount, you know, of money. Sort of. She was not one of these people that took a lot of money from people. And many a person she would sort of heal for free. And she got quite a large following. And it was all done very, very silently, to be honest with you. But she has got fantastic ideas on everything even to do with mindfulness. Vitamins. She was talking about vitamins. And she was talking about diet, and she was talking about the environment, and she was talking about clean water, and she was talking about gratitude way back in the 70s and 80s, you know. So she's a fantastic lady. Another book I got out in my funk, lots of people will recognize Louise Hay, and You Can Heal Your Life. She's got some fantastic stories, and her own story, I find it absolutely amazing and riveting. And what a lady, what a lady. And I've learned so many lessons. So in times when I'm looking for an answer and I'm on my own, and I can't go to someone because I can't get to them, or I don't know who to go to or whatever, I will often pick a page here at random, and I find the right page to read, or the right story to read. And she's amazing. Now, the third one I really love is good old Dr. Wayne Dwyer. I keep calling him Dr. Dwayne Wire, but you all know him well, I'm sure, any of the professionals in the industry, Dr. Wayne Dwyer. And I bought this, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. Oh gosh, I must have bought this well over a decade ago. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have many books like these in my bookshelf, all right? As I said, it takes me a while, you know, to get where I need to get in this personal development field. But I have a feeling I've got the right ones. I may not have a lot, but I think I've got the right ones. And again, when I was in my funk, what I would do is, I'm very fortunate to have a balcony that overlooks a little tiny garden of mine. And I would sit out there very early morning, and I would take this book and I would just randomly open a page. And somehow or another, the right page came to me. And this is just an amazing book that was actually written 2,500 years ago. And what I love about it is not only the verses, and the verses that were written by Lao Tzu, I don't know how to say the name, I'll be honest with you. I call it the Tao, but I'm sure you professionals, you know, will probably call it the proper name. But if you just allow me, I just call it the Tao. And when you think that these were written, 81 verses were written 2,500 years ago, and it's a mixture of reading something from a spiritual book, reading something that's practical, and reading something that's a life lesson. And there was one day in particular when I really was in my funk, and I thought, God, what am I going to do? So anyway, I got Dr. Wayne Dwyer's book, and I just opened it at a page that just resonated immediately, absolutely immediately. And it's like the light bulb went on. And that's what I find so amazing about this. And it doesn't take ages to read it. You can read a verse in 5-6 minutes. You can read then Dr. Dwyer's sort of story about the verse, which will take sort of about another sort of 10-15 minutes. So altogether, it's about sort of 20 minutes. So that was another lesson I learned, was to get those books out that are sitting on the shelf, and sort of to actually read them and to find, you know, the answers to what I was looking for. So what I decided after all of that was to look at things that I could control myself. And what I can control is my diet. I obviously couldn't control exercising. Well, I suppose I could do something at home. I mean, we have a nice house, you know, it's not huge, but I could find a little spot, you know, to do a bit of running on the spot if I really wanted to. But I'm not that way inclined. I do like to go out for a walk. And of course, with lockdown, what have you, I couldn't go out for a walk, and I didn't go out for a walk, because when they said, you know, stay at home, I thought, okay, stay at home. For the first month, I couldn't go out anyway because I wasn't well and I didn't feel like doing it. And then when I got better, I thought, okay, I've got to start doing something here, you know. So I couldn't go for my walk, so I just would start running on the spot in the garden. And in fact, I would run from one end to the other. I don't know what the neighbours thought of me. They must have thought, God, there's that mad woman down there at 736. Look, she's up to, she's running up and down the garden again. And it's not exactly a big garden. It's not quite postage stamp, but if you get the impression anyway. So the neighbours have probably taken pictures of me. I just hope to God I'm not on someone's Facebook. But we'll soon see. If they see this, they'll put 2 and 2 together. So I can control my diet. I can start exercising. I can control my thoughts, because your thoughts determine your positive approach to things. I'm a great believer in that. I'm not saying that when I have a critical thought, a thought that maybe doesn't resonate or I shouldn't be resonating with, that to ignore it, because that's part and parcel of life. But I can control having as many positive thoughts as possible, as I can do. I've also started doing a gratitude journal for the first time ever in my life. I know a lot of people say do it, and you know, I'm like, yes, you know, I'll do it. And I bought the exercise books. You know, I think I've got one somewhere here in the desk, and it sat in the desk, and it sat in the desk, and it sat in the desk. And I thought, right, let's get this copybook out and let's just start. And I thought, what am I going to write? I was grateful, Joe. What do I write? So I thought, well, what am I grateful for? And I thought, I just started with a couple of lines, you know, and I started with two lines. And then the next day I would sort of build it up. And I felt sometimes as though I was in confession, because I was saying the same thing every night. It's a bit like, you know, being a Catholic, you go to confession every week and you tell the priest the same story because you're not sure what else to say. And I found I was writing down the same lines I was grateful for, and I thought, no, come on, stop this now. You're a big girl. You can do much better than that. And, you know, just say, well, what are you grateful for? And so I started having a conversation, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a conversation with myself. So I tend to write as I speak. And it'll be interesting to look back on this copybook, you know, in a couple of years' time, and because it'll reflect, obviously, whatever is going on in my life and my mind sort of the time. So that's another thing that I started, which was my gratitude. And the other thing I'd like to say is staying in touch with people. Oh, yes, one of the other things I did, apart from the books, when I found I was in a funk, or I'd have sort of days when, you know, I might even want to shed a tear, I would just get busy doing something that sort of didn't take too much brain power from me. And now anyone who really knows me knows that I hate cleaning. I will iron, no problem. But I was raised by a woman that kept a house spick and span. But the only problem was with spick and span, because she had me cleaning the damn thing. And she used to collect brass and silver. Any of you of a certain age will have parents or grandparents where collecting brass and silver was the thing. Well, who the heck cleans that once a month? Me. So I'm the complete opposite. I don't want to live in a tip, but by the same token, I'm not as fussy as some people might be. But anyway, what I have found is getting the brush out, the sweeping brush out, can be very handy, especially outside. And where I live, I have a little alleyway in front of the front door. And in the street where I live, when it's windy, every single piece of rubbish and every spare anything that's on the ground, leaves, whatever, ends up down my alley. I am known as a collector of rubbish for the street without even trying. And so I have been out sweeping that street every day. In fact, this local street sweeper, who we haven't seen in a few weeks, will be very proud of my spot because it is spotless. So when I really feel, you know, like, oh God, I can't take this anymore, I get the brush out and I go outside and I start sweeping the street. So I sit down my own little alleyway, and then for good measure, I do the street right outside as well. Again, God knows what the neighbours on the front side of me are thinking. So between those watching me running up and down the garden, or my version of running, and the other side looking at me sweeping up the street, they'll be saying, Jesus, that one over there is very strange. But anyway, so that's something else. So what I would say is get busy, whether, you know, it could be cooking. It could be, maybe you have a hobby. Maybe you like to play an instrument, read the book, whatever it is. But do something that sort of doesn't take too much brain power. It's just something that you automatically would do. And it's amazing how just doing that, maybe even taking the shower. I'm also a great believer that when you've got a lot of those kind of negative thoughts inside your head, or worry, it could be worry. There might not be negative thoughts as such, but it could just be worries, little concerns about whatever it might be. Having a shower is wonderful. I believe that we're all made of energy, and water is energy too. And I think that's so powerful. And it's like, when I have a shower, I always have a shower before I go to bed at night, because to me, that's washing the day away. So it's like a little ritual, you know. So whether the day has been good or bad or indifferent, it's like I say to myself, right, anything that was negative today, wash the day away. You know that song, Wash That Man Right Out of My Hair? out of South Pacific. Well, I sometimes think of that, you know. But instead of saying I'm washing that man right out of my hair, I'm washing the day and the negative stuff right out of my hair. So there you go. I think I'm going to regret sharing that, but it's dumb. It's out there. What else can I say? Right, keeping in touch with people. I've kept in touch with some good friends, and by email or WhatsApp group or whatever it may be. Zoom, thank God for Zoom. Zoom is absolutely wonderful, and you know, we can connect, you know, with people from around the world. I think it's very, very important, but I think it's also equally important. And I decided to do it during lockdown because I've had enough of it, quite frankly. People who are very negative, and they were bringing my energy down, because every time I spoke to them, it was doom and gloom. Now, look, I know how to have a pity party, just as good as the next person. Trust me, I really know how to have a pity party. But there comes a time you think, enough, please move on. Let's be positive. And so people who are totally negative all the time about the situation or whatever it may be, you know, I've decided I just don't have time for them, you know, in my life. And that might sound cruel, but it's just keeping my own sanity together, to be honest with you. So as much as it's good sort of to keep in touch with people, I also would say don't keep negative people in your life, because they're just sucking that energy out of you. And it just sort of brings down, you know, your own energy. I don't listen to too much mainline news anymore. Again, I found that could be a little bit depressing. You know, it's not that I'm tuning out the world. I most certainly am not. I'm getting news from different sources, and I might read a newspaper online, whatever, every single day. I'll have a look. But I certainly don't spend hours listening to the news, because again, I did that in the very, very early days when I wasn't well, and I was getting into a serious funk, and I was paralyzing myself with fear because I was listening to, you know, CNN, BBC, and ain't no wonder I was going berserk, you know. And I think that can be dangerous, listening to too much. It's not too much negativity, but it's just that if you have too much of it, it's blowing the whole thing out compared to your little space and your part within it, you know. What else? So where am I now? I'm in a good spot right now at this moment in time. Mentally wise, I'm fine. In fact, I'm very calm. As I said, I've had the chaos. Through the chaos, I found my own little creative space. I'm pleased about that. I'm positive that we will get through it. And I mean we, I mean me, people I know, people within the UAE, people around the world. We will come through it. And many lessons will be learned. I'm using this time, as I said, to look at my life, how I'm living it, and I'm making small changes. They're not huge, you know. It's like even sort of getting fitter. That's going to take 12 months or more, but it's little tiny changes. It's not a big thing, because I'm not into big changes, because I know I won't stick at it. So there's no point. I know myself too well. I might think I don't, but I really do. Work-wise, I'm learning new skills. I'm amazed, absolutely amazed at some of the new skills. Who would have thought that, you know. I'm also figuring out how to move forward in a different way. I have a feeling, I really do have a feeling that this is going to be a fantastic change for me. I really do. And I have a feeling that when I look back in 12 months' time, I'm going to be very proud of myself. Hopefully. I'm using it to recharge my batteries. I'll be honest with you, one of the things I also did early days in my funk was I had other people I know who are in business, they're very clever people, you know, men and women. And they said, oh, I've got this sussed, I've got my processes all sorted out, everything's online, and I'm ready to go. And I thought, bloody hell, I've got nothing. I'm prepared for nothing. And again, this is something I was thinking, my God, what am I going to do? You know, everyone else is way ahead of me. I'll be left behind. Well, that's absolute rubbish. And I realized that that's absolute rubbish, because I work, well, I'm not them, number one. We're all individual. I work at my own speed, and I'm doing what I meant to do at the time I meant to do it, and in the way I'm doing it. And it doesn't make it better, and it doesn't make it worse. It's just different, and it's just me. So that was another lesson I learned, was I'm pleased for them. I'm happy as punch, you know, when they say, oh, I've got this sorted out, and that's wonderful. I'm really pleased. But I'm not chasing anybody else's vision, or I'm not going to chase anybody else's attainment. You know, I will get to where I need to be when I need to be, you know. As I said, meditation. I started doing meditations again. I'm not good at doing meditation on my own. I need guided meditation. Not quite sure why. Maybe too much going on inside my head. I have no idea. But I prefer to have guided meditation. So I've started doing that. And I prefer that they don't last more than 10 minutes. That's about as much as I can do. You know, I mean, some people say, oh, I can sit there for half an hour. And I think, I'm not there at all. 10 minutes, I'm fine. 15 at a push. And then, because I notice if David sees me very quiet, but if he hears nothing going on, suddenly he said, where are you? Where are you? So that defeats the object. Gratitude, transformation. And also, I do believe in giving back. And I've always had this inside of me, is your life should make a difference, and not just a difference for you to live the best life you possibly can, if you possibly can, but also to make a difference also to other people, and to help others, whether it's helping them physically with something like the lady who's helping me to get fitter with, you know, the video sort of classes, all the rest of it, but it might be maybe giving your expertise to somebody, showing them how to do something, not charging them, saying, look, I'll give you my time and I'll teach you something. And maybe there's something that they can give you back sort of in return. So it's making a difference, whether that is going to be, some people can do it financially, and God bless them, that's absolutely fantastic. Many people can't. But when you give knowledge and share knowledge and time, that's just as good, in my opinion. So it's making a difference. And like I said, you know, one or two people I no longer have in my life at the moment. They might come back in maybe if they change their ways on their negativity. But I don't have people who are unkind either in my life. I don't like people who are cruel or unkind. I'm not going to preach to them, because that's not, you know, that's not for me. Everybody has to find their own place and spot. But I don't have, again, people who are selfish, for want of it's an old-fashioned word, you know, truly selfish. I don't have time for that. And I try to support people where I can, if I can do it, where I can do it. And that's really sort of the lessons that I've sort of learned, is you will get into a funk now and again. Don't get paralyzed. Don't let fear paralyze you. There are ways out of it, but sometimes you have to go through it, accept the feeling, accept whatever you're feeling, go inside and find out what is that lesson that fear is trying to show you, to teach you. There will be chaos. You come through that chaos. There is calm at the end of it, and sometimes you have to experience the chaos to create the calm. I would say the other lesson is my creativity outlet. It's important I have something in that line, and I'm certainly working on that. Thoughts, positive thoughts, the books, gratitude journal. That's it.
Georgina, it looks like you've done so much during that time. It looks like really, you know, you have just gotten one idea after the other, and it's absolutely fabulous, you know. Thank you so much also for sharing. And I think we can add one more lesson to everything that you just said, because you said at the beginning you've never done that and shared so much with others because you're a private person. So here you go. There is something else that you learned right now in the last hour. And you've done it. You've done such a fabulous job really sharing and showing to people that, you know, even things that you don't like. And I'm curious about something. You mentioned a couple of things that you didn't like doing previously and that you are now doing, whether it's cleaning or, you know, running in your garden. Or so how do you feel now after you have actually done things that you previously did not like? Did it change your attitude towards them, or what did it do in you?
I think running in the garden is really just about getting outside and getting some fresh air. It's really got nothing to do with fitness, I'll be honest with you. It's really to be able to breathe fresh air outside. And the sort of running is like an added advantage. I feel better, I'll be honest with you. I do feel better. I don't know what the science is behind, you know, energy and exercise and the mind, but I'm sure the bods out there will be able to explain that one away. It just makes me feel better. It makes me feel better, and it's my little space that I really enjoy, and I really don't care who looks at me. I'm past that, you know.
Again, thank you so much for sharing that, and for, you know, showing that even if we feel sometimes ashamed of doing things, or we never dare doing things, really, it doesn't really matter, because it's about you, right? It's about making.
Well, exactly. I mean, sweeping the street doesn't bother me, quite frankly, either, you know. Yeah. I mean, some people might sort of not want to be seen to be sweeping the street, whereas my attitude is, well, you know, if it does what it's meant to do for me, I really don't care.
Yeah, wonderful. We did have a comment earlier, and I did want to read it for you, from Beryl, saying you can already feel proud of yourself. I'm going to see you in a year and see you feeling even better. So you don't have to wait, what did you say, 10 years and look back?
Well, I said, yeah, well, it's taking me a long time.
Oh, yeah. And truly, yes, because many people do sit at home and go into their own world and dwell on whatever worries they have or fears they have. So it is an inspiration to, you know, listen to people like you say and share with the world what you can do out of nothing, out of a book here, a journal there, some cooking here, and running in the garden. You don't need a gym. You don't need a big library. You don't need so many things. But if you are creative, and that's the thing that is inside of you, you're the only one who can come up with these ideas. So thank you so much, Georgina, for your inspiration today. Thank you for sharing your story with so many people. And I'm really glad that you decided to come on board and do that.
It was my pleasure. My pleasure. You're a wonderful lady, Mona, and you know I love you.
I also would like to thank everyone else who was on the call today and who spend their time listening to Georgina. And all I want to say for everybody who is watching the replay now on YouTube and who's not with us live, if you would like to listen to this series every single day and you would like to receive my emails that will give you the Zoom link every day, then please sign up to the link that is below the video on YouTube, and you'll be on the mailing list that will, you know, get you the emails daily, and also get you the replays. Now, of course, all the replays are on YouTube, so you can watch them. If you want to have them structured and by day, just go to my website, which is also on this, below the video. The link is below the video, not the website. The website is MindYourPower.org. It's your life, all speakers. And then finally, I would like to invite everybody who is watching on YouTube, on Facebook. Today, we tried something very new, and we were live on Facebook while we were doing that Zoom call. I'm not sure if it worked out really well, but we had some viewers there. So everyone who is watching, if you would like to share your story just as courageously as Georgina did it today, if you have something inspirational to say, please send me an email at mona@mindyourpower.org. It's MONA@mindyourpower.org. And I will be really, really more than happy to host you on this show and to allow you to share whatever you need to share. I believe every single person on this earth has something to say, so I'm waiting for you. And now back to you, Georgina. Thank you so, so much again. I really appreciate it. And thank you also for the book tips. The first one you mentioned I had never heard of, so I'm really curious, and we'll certainly have a look into it.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.